Hello everyone, welcome back. In this part, we're going to talk about JavaScript Array Methods. First, let's say we have simple array right here, which contains a bunch of strings of car brands. And here I'm saving my array into my x variable right here and run our functions here and save the result to this variable again, and below this we're going to console log our variable. And now if we run, you can see we got our array right here. The first method that we're going to talk about, which we have talked in the last part too, is our length method, which if we run this, you can see we're going to have our length of the array, and we can use this to access to items inside of our array dynamically too. For example, if we want to access the last one, we can either give the index of -1 right here in the index part, or we can have this array with length and minus this and have this as our index number. The next thing that we're going to talk about is our toString method. All of our objects and data types has their own toString method. And in this one, if we run our function right here and run our code, you can see we got our items beside each other divided by simple copy. Instead of showing it like this, we have that type of showing. After this, we have function of add. And what this does, the same as giving the index to our array to get access to the item. For example, let's type 2 right here. And now if we run, you can see we got the item in the index of 2. And this is the same as we put these square brackets right here and give the number 2 to this. Another method that we have here is our join method. And if we run this like this, you can see we have this as same as our toString method. But one difference and option of this join is that we can have anything that we want between of our array items. For example, let's say I want a space slash and another space right here. And now if we run, you can see we get that one in our array. And of course, you can have any kind of word or character that you want right here. But let's say here we want to remove our last item inside of our array. I mean this Nissan one right here. So to do that, we use our method called pop. And when we run this and print our array after that, as you see, we don't have this last item anymore inside of our array. And you don't need any variable to save this. This is just some function that you can run. And if you run this twice, of course, you're first going to remove this Nissan and then this Volvo, just like this. But let's say after we're removing our Nissan, we want to add another item to our array. We can either do that by assigning that to our index of 3, just like this, and give the value right here, or we can use another method called push. And here, if we get another item, let's say 4 here, and run our code, you can see first we removed our last one, which is Nissan, and then we have this 4. And if we comment this out and run our code again, you can see we got the same Nissan, and after this we got this 4 right here. And this pop and push methods are very useful when we don't know the exact index of our items. Another thing that we can have here is our shift method, which if we run this, you can see we're going to remove our first index of item and move all of our items one index lower. So this is in index 0 is going to be none and removed. This is going to be in index 0, index 1, and 2. And if we print anything right here, let's say we want to print our index of 1 once before our shift and once after that. So if we run, you can see first we have this dot, but after lowering one index and shifting all of our elements to the left, we got Volvo instead of Dodge. And this method is simply removing our first item. It's just like pop, but pop removes from the last, shift removes from the start. And we can add another item to the first and start of our array by method called unshift. And here we need to give the new value that we want. For example, let's say I want force here. And now if we run, you can see we have this Ford inserted before all of our elements, and now this is in our index 0. The next method that we have, let's say we have another array here called arr2, and we have some other values right here. Let's say we have Ford, then Chevrolet right here. And now if we want to combine these two arrays together, we can use our concat method. And here, after putting our method, we need to give the second array that we want to concat with our first one. So in this case, it's arr2. And now if we assign this to some variable and print that variable into our console, you can see that here we have these two items added to the end of this array. And of course, we can change the places of this. So we got these one first and then these one. Now let's talk about another function and method which we can use copy our array's elements to another position, and that is our copyWhithin method. And here first, let's say we want to have our elements to copy to index 3 from our index 1. So now if we run, you can see here, instead of Nissan, we have this Dodge. And what this does is, this has grabbed our index 1, which is Dodge here, and copied that to our index 3, which is Nissan. Let's say here we have another items of number right here. So now if we run our code, you can see here that we have our BMW here, Dodge here, Volvo here, Dodge here, and after this, we got again our Volvo, Nissan, and number 8. And what this does is making all of the elements starting from index 1, which is these elements right here, and going to copy them to index of 3. So we're going to copy these one right here and put this to here after this Volvo and index of 3. And because we can't add values, so this must be in the same number of items. So we start here and don't get further than this. And now let's say we want to copy these two one to these two indexes. So we use our items in the index of 5 and we want to start from 0. And now if we run, you can see that here after 5 we got this BMW and Dodge right here. And if we run this command, it's going to copy all of the remain of our array to the point that it fits inside of the items. So to declaring only one part after our start position, we put another number which is our end position of copying. So if I write 1 right here and run, as you see, we have our BMW here and don't get any further item copying to this position because we started from 0 just right here and ended before our index of 1, which is this one. So we have copied this. And if I make 2, of course, we're going to see our Dodge beside that 2. But the remained is 1 to 34 as it was in our first and based array. Let's say here we have some arrays as item inside of our array. So here we have one array right here, another right here, and another right here. And here let's say we have BMW right here. After this we have, let's say, Dodge. In our second array we have Ford and Volvo, and then in our third array, we have our Nissan and let's say our Chevrolet. Now, if we print our array right here, you can see we got this type of showing. But let's say we want to have all of these in one array and we want to have these one to be this arrays and not this array item. So what we can do to do this is using our function of flat. And what this does, it's going to grab all of the elements and make all of them to our first array's item. So when we have objects of array inside of our array, we can do this. So we can all of the items in one array. And actually, let's grab just this items and make our array that for using our next function, which here is our slice function. And what this does is it's going to get and slice out the item that we want from array and put it in another array. So here, let's say we put our index 1 right here. If we run here, you can see we slide from this dot and we have remain of our array right here. And of course, we can have anything right here. So let's say we want index of 3. And now if we run, you can see we have the items after index 2. And pay attention, what we put here is going to appear in our second array too. But let's say here we want to start from 1, which is this dot, and we want to end in this Volvo. So this is 1, 2, and 3. If we give this index of 4, as you see, we're going to have these 3 items. So it's going to slice from our item in index 1, grab 2, grab 3, and stops before our index 4. Now let's talk about splice. And this method can be used to add new items to our array. So the first parameter that we put inside of our splice method right here is going to set where new element should be added. So let's say we want to add our new element after our dodge, which is index number 2 right here. Then we're going to give our second parameter, which defines how many elements should be removed to replace our new items with that. So we can have 0 items removed, so we insert that right here before our fourth, and the remain is going to be in their place, or we can remove, for example, one of them, which is going to remove this fourth and put our new item right here. So in this case, first let's don't remove any item from our array, and the rest of the parameters are going to be our new elements to add to our array. After this, here we're going to have our item 1, and let's say we have another item 2 to insert to our array. And now if we run, you can see that we got this empty array right here. And that is the items which they are removed. And after this console log, let's say we have another console log, which here we're going to print our array right here. And if we run, you can see here we have item 1 and item 2. Actually, I have forgot this. Our item 1 and our item 2 after this dodge and this fourth is still in its place. But let's say here we want to have 2 items removed. So this empty array, which is our removed ones, should be Ford and Volvo, and we should have item 1 and 2 in these places. So the layout should be something like this. We have BMW, Dodge, item 1, item 2, Nissan, and then Chevrolet. And now if we run, you can see we have Ford and Volvo removed, and we have BMW, Dodge, item 1, item 2, Nissan, and Chevrolet. And of course, we can use this to only remove our items. So let's say here, we want to remove our Nissan right here, which is in index 4. To do that, we put our index number of 4 and we use our second parameter as number of items we want to remove, which here we only want to remove one item. And now if we run, you can see we have removed Nissan and have all of others right here. Of course, let's say we want to delete Volvo with that too. So we want to start from index 3 because this is our index 3. And now we are going to delete only Volvo just like this. But if we want to delete Nissan too, here we can use 2 instead of 1. And now here we have removed Volvo and Nissan. And the rest of the brands of cars we have in our base array. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.